Okay. Okay, good morning, everybody. From all over the world, Eretz Israel, England, UK, States. Happy birthday to Lisa, who's sponsoring the Shir today. She should be blessed with all the blessings that she gives out to people. She should be receiving blessings back. All of us should give each other blessings to hang in there. We should all have a holy day, a holy Shabbos. The Chevra is blessing you. Anyone who gets any inspiration from the Shir or says another parak of Tehillim, so Lisa, you get the credit for it. And of course, also Rebbetzin Dov gets because she organizes these things. And really we all get because every one of us that's on gives a little bit more of a push to everyone else to come on. That's how it is. You know how it is. You have a big group and everybody sort of like wants to be part of that big group. So everybody who's here, you are part of everyone else's life, number one. Number two, you're here in Eretz Israel, in Yerushalayim HaKodesh right now on our absolutely magnificently beautiful day. I know you're having a cold spell in the UK, but here in Eretz Israel, we are having a glorious day, perfect weather, perfect sunshine. And I take that as a message from Hashem saying, even though the world looks like it's falling apart, Hashem is in charge. And so on a certain level, we have to stay focused on what we can focus on. Focus on what we can stay focused on. So we're doing Tehillim. $147. Our rabbis chose to put this into the Siddur. That means that this is a unique Tehillim, just like all of the Tehillim, all of the Pirkei Tehillim that are incorporated into the Siddur. Even though all 150 Prakim of Tehillim are powerful. One second. Okay, I just wanted to tell the other Chevra that I forgot to send a message to the Kamler. Every Tehillim is powerful, but some of them are more powerful than others. Just like every mitzvah is powerful, but some of them, it's going to sound crazy, but we know the Gemara says that certain mitzvahs, when you keep them, it's as if you did get the whole Torah, and the opposite. So here goes more of this parak of Tehillim, 147, that our rabbi said pay attention to. And we talked about last week, Harofet Ishur Lev, that Hashem heals the brokenhearted, and we said that that's Hillel, U'machabe Shatzvotam, and he binds up their problems, that's Shammai. And we know that Shammai and Hillel are at the end of time going to have this big discussion of how to view reality. Hillel views reality in a way that's a little bit easier to tolerate, and Shammai says, no, go for the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So, and we said that Hashem counts the stars, and he calls them by name. Now, we also know that a name is very, very powerful. Everybody knows that. I'm not sure if with this group I gave a whole series of classes on the names, but your Hebrew name is incredibly powerful. You should call each other, and that's going to sound weird, but start now. Better to start now than not. Call each other by your Hebrew name, whatever it is. You should call each other. I know that I have some Chevra there who's been struggling with that, choosing and calling a Hebrew name for a very long time. But when you call each other, when you call yourself by your Hebrew name, it doesn't have to be to everybody, but your name is the essence of your neshama, and it's the power of your neshama. So why not empower yourself? Call yourself by your Hebrew name, your children by the Hebrew name. Hashem calls the Shemot, Hashem calls the Kochavim, the stars, by their name. Now you remember 2 weeks ago, in Parashas Vayigash, when in Parashas Miketz, when Yosef rises to power, when he gets out of jail and he rises to power, and he is renamed by Paro. Why did Paro want to rename Yosef? Because when you name someone, when you give them a name, you're mamish becoming like as if you are birthing them. And Paro wanted to be in control over Yosef. So he wanted to give him a name that he would consider as if he birthed Yosef, and so that he could control him. And Baruch Hashem, we see that that did not happen. Hashem did not let Paro control Yosef. Rather, the exact opposite. Yosef controlled Paro. And Yosef controlled the entire world at that point. But your name is powerful, very, very powerful. Okay, so now the next pasuk, I forgot already where we ended off, but we'll just review quickly. Gadol Adonenu, our master, our God is so big. The Rav Koach, he's absolutely limitless in power. He has infinite power, and Litzvunato ein mispar, and his tavuna, his bina, his understanding, his wisdom, has no quantifying factor to it. That means, and this is for all of my chaver who's on from the Monday and Tuesday shir and Wednesday, Hashem's plan is so big, and every time we try to squish his plan into our brain and limit it and figure out what Hashem is trying to do, Hashem is saying, listen, creations, you can't possibly understand my plan. Could it, if you look back at the whole Jewish history, why in the world did Hashem do what he did? Why did he make Sarah Imenu barren for all of those years if in the end he was going to give her a child? Why did the Jewish people have to be in Mitzrayim all of those years? Hashem's Litvunato ein mispar. There's no way that we can possibly understand Hashem's mind. Only at the very, very end. And you know the expression in American English, I don't know if you have this in British English, the expression is, he who laughs last, laughs best. That means it ain't over till it's over. And whoever laughs at the end, whoever is in the end, who's ever there, that's the last laugh. The last laugh is what counts. And so Hashem's brilliance has no end to it. Now, here, let's go to, I promised you that I'm going to show you, Bli Neder Be'ezrat Hashem, this week, some codes in this parak of Tehillim. So first of all, we learned that Hillel and Shammai, we saw them already. We saw that the Mem and the Mem, Monem Mispar, and then the Lamed and the Lamed, like Kochavim, Lekulam. We see double letters, okay? We see that Hashem, David Melech is saying Hashem is infinitely brilliant. Me'oded anavim Hashem. One of the things that Hashem does in his greatness, because Gadol Adonenu, he's so big. But what does he do? Me'oded anavim. He encourages humble people. That's what Hashem does. He doesn't, when you have a person who's very high in power, so he has a whole bunch of underlings who do all of his dirty work, or who do the work of the daily. Here Hashem, the pasuk says, David Melech is showing us, we have this in Hallel also, Hashem is so great, and yet what does he do with his greatness? Besides counting the stars, and besides knowing every single thing in this world, knowing every blade of grass, he me'oded anavim. An anav is a person who is humble. He takes the humble person and he encourages that humble person. How? By mashpil v'sha'im adei aretz, by taking wicked people and lowering them till the very ground. We're coming up to Purim. The next Yontif is Purim, and we must stay positive. Why? Because that Paro, in this week's Parsha, Paro, which by the way represents the Yetzer Hara, Paro says that one of the main powerful tricks of the Yetzer Hara is to knock a Jew off of her equilibrium, to make a Jew worried, to make a Jew scared and frightened, to make a Jew overworked, to make a Jew tired. You know, we have an important job to do in this world, a very important job to do in this world. And it's outlined in the Chumash, and it's called doing mitzvah. It's called living a Jewish life according to how Hashem instructs us in the Torah. And one of those major mitzvahs is Shiviti Hashem Lenegdi Tami. I always have to imagine God is in front of me. And the Chassidus were taught the word Shiviti means I have to be shaveh. I have to be calm. I have to be tranquil. I have to have equanimity. I have to be grounded in reality and not let anything throw me off. The only time, lo aleinu, the only time we're allowed to get off of this equilibrium is chas v'shalom on Tisha B'Av. And also if chas v'shalom person has to sit shiva, God forbid, and lo aleinu, nobody should ever have to sit shiva again. Amen, amen. So when a person's sitting shiva, Hashem says, okay, now you can a little bit cry. Otherwise, you have to stay focused, stay balanced, hold on, emunah. So Hashem, how does Hashem, now what happens, what's an anav? An anav is a person, a humble person. Now, who was the most humble person? It says the Torah, Moshe Rabbeinu. The ish Moshe anav mikol hadam. The Moshe Rabbeinu was the most humble person, and yet he was the most powerful person in planet Earth that ever lived, and until Mashiach comes, that ever will live. Moshe Rabbeinu, the most powerful person, the most up in your face. He was on the cover of the Daily News every single day in the Jewish world. He created the most effect in this entire planet, Moshe Rabbeinu. And yet the Torah says, and he wrote these words, that he's the most anav. What does anav mean? Anav means when you're able to step back and see how God is running the show. Okay, this is very important now, because we're in the middle of two major world challenges. What's going on in America, world challenge number 1. What's going on with the vaccine, world challenge number 2. Two major challenges. And so we have to look at what God is doing. If you look at the word anav, now I don't know how to do the screens here with showing you, but if you look at an ayin, the way it's printed in the siddur, the ayin is actually made up of a nun and a vav. Look very carefully at the ayin. The right side of the ayin, that long leg, that's the nun, and then the other part, the straight line, is a vav. So the word anav, the letter ayin spells out the word anav. Do you see that? The letter ayin contains within it a nun and a vav. And the way you spell it, anav, is ayin, nun, vav. So what's ayin? Ayin means to see. We have to mamish beg Hashem to see his hand in this world. That's what an anav is. And anav is not somebody who is just powerless and, a miskin, somebody who just doesn't get their life together. And anav is someone who's powerful and who's begging Hashem, I want with my einayim, I want with my eyes to see the Yad Hashem, to see the hashgacha in my life, to see your hand in my life. That's anavim. And Hashem me'oded, also with an ayin. Hashem, there's me'oded is with an ayin, and then you have David's name in there. The mem is Mashiach. All of these words are powerfully coding. They're codes words. So Hashem is me'oded. He encourages a person who wants to see the Yad Hashem. Hashem says, just look with your eyes, and that will right away put you into a place of humility, saying, I don't know anything. I just know that Hashem is making this world. This is Hashem's world. It's Hashem's choices. And we have to just be grateful that we're on the team of God and that we're not on the team of those evil people that Hashem is using, like Hashem used Paro. Why did Hashem take away the free choice of Paro? Because Paro actually chose to be bad. So Hashem said, if you're choosing to be an evil person, then I will use you, says Hashem, to bring evil in the world. You will be a vessel, you will be a tool for evil. So Baruch Hashem, we are tools of godliness. We have to be so grateful to them. Okay, so Hashem, how does Hashem give us encouragement? By Mashpil Rishon. Now listen, Haman, oh boy, Haman was the top guy, right? Achashverosh was the king. He appointed Haman, and Haman's a top guy, and he's riding on the top of the world. And yet what does Hashem do? Hashem throws him down. How long did it take for Haman to be thrown down? Okay, it didn't take too long. The bottom line was that if you look at the span of the Megillah, it took less than 10 years from the time that Haman was elevated until he was destroyed. And he didn't start becoming an overt anti-Semite until the very, very end of his life, right? Because we know that he made the Goral, right? He made the poor, and he was already hung on Pesach. So Haman was lifted. He was lifted, he was glorified, he was proud, he was powerful. And could you imagine the bewilderment of the Jewish people, the bewilderment, the confusion of the Jewish people saying, why did Hashem do that? And Haman was Amaleki. Haman was Amalek, Ha'agagi, Agag, Amalek. How could Hashem lift up Amalek and give him so much power and give him the chutzpah to say he wants to kill the Jewish people and actually begin the process by sending out letters? How does Haman have the chutzpah to do that? And why did Hashem allow that to happen? And so Shlomo Melech says, Lifnei Shever Geon. Before someone is destroyed, they are lifted up. Because you know what? If the evil post office guy who keeps stealing your letters, if he gets destroyed, all right, you don't even know about him because he's a small-time guy. But if a big-time evil is going to be destroyed, he has to be destroyed in such a big way by first lifting him and then smashing him down. That's how the Anav finds Idud. Okay, the next puzzle. And here we're going to see again the most amazing teaching. Enu Lashem B'Todah. You got those letters of Ayin again. There you have the word Anav, Ayin and Nun and Vav, except that because of the vowels, it's read Enu. Enu means to answer or to when you're davening and you answer Amen, right? That's how it's called. It's to say to Hashem, to sing to Hashem, Todah, thank you. Now we have the Baruch Hashem songs, Todah Hashem's, right? We have all those songs. So say to Hashem, thank you. Enu Hashem, sing to Hashem, B'Todah, with thanks. Wait a minute, hold on there. And Zamru Elokeinu B'Chinor. And then if you know how to play a stringed instrument, a kinor, nowadays we call a kinor a violin, but any kind of a stringed instrument, so sing to Hashem with stringed instruments. Okay, that's a pshat here. Now we're going to look so much deeper because we saw already that Hashem is picking up the Anav, the Ayin, by seeing correctly. Hashem is encouraging the humble people. And how is Hashem doing that? By smashing down the evil. And the humble person is so grateful that he and she is not evil. Now we see Enu Hashem B'Todah. Now listen, ladies. Look at the Rashi Tevot, the first letters of these three words, Ayin, Lamed, and Beis. Ayin, Lamed, and Beis spells out in Hebrew the word Aluv. Aluv means when somebody insults you, when somebody lowers your dignity, when somebody does something to make you feel worthless. That's called Aluv, when you're insulted. So what is Hashem saying? Hashem is saying, and what's David teaching us in these three words, that when somebody insults you, Ayin, Lam, and Beis, when someone insults you, what should you do? You should, Enu Hashem B'Todah, you should say thank you. When someone insults you, you should say thank you. Why? First of all, they just wiped away your whole slate. You have no more sins. Could you imagine the bigger the insult and the more public the insult, the more public the humiliation, and the bigger the humiliation, the more mistakes that are erased from your slate. We all have stuff, and not even averas. It could also just mean, it could mean like unhealthy things in your life, in your mind. When someone insults you, instead of answering back, say, thank you, Hashem, because right now, somehow I just received a major tikkun, a major gift, a major present, a major elevation. Because Chazal tell us that when a person's insulted and doesn't respond, then all of their sins get erased. So now listen, it doesn't mean chas v'sham, that you should be in an abusive relationship and stay in a relationship. It doesn't mean you should have to marry somebody who's going to yell and scream at you all day long. Even though I know of a certain very big person, I'm not going to say in any way or shape or form hint, I know a very, very big person who actually hired someone to malign that person in public. It's a crazy thing, and don't even think about doing things like this. We don't live in that madrega. But that person did it for the intention of not just erasing that person's own sins, but for the intention of, bringing Mashiach closer, because it's terrible suffering. So, okay, we don't do things like that. But at least we understand that if it happened to us, if we're put in a position of embarrassment, of humiliation, and even if another person doesn't do it, sometimes you embarrass yourself. Sometimes your situation is embarrassing, or sometimes somebody actually embarrasses you. So, ayin lamed beis aluv enu lashem b'todah. Say thank you. Not just say thank you, but sing thank you. And humble yourself to know that even though you would not have preferred this way and method of erasing mistakes in your life and in your past, and who knows how many lifetimes we go back, you would have preferred not. But Hashem says, listen, honey, you're not really doing such a great tshuva. You're not really even remembering what you did wrong. So I'm just going to send you somebody who's going to insult you. And that way, I know I have a list here of how much it's worth, right? A little insult, a little sin erased. A big insult, a big messed up thing erased. So in my siddur, I underline this. And every time when I say it and I have time to pay attention, I say, thank you, Hashem, for all the times that I was indeed insulted. And sometimes, again, you insult yourself by making mistakes. You make a mistake in public, you get embarrassed, right? Good. Hashem says, good. Because in the end, what does it matter if people give you respect or not? Does that really matter? Does kavod, honor, really matter? With 147, does kavod really matter? No, it doesn't. It's not going to pay your bills. It's not going to make you feel full. It's not going to, put on the air conditioner when it's not going to do anything. Kavod is nothing. It's like one of those things that it's like points in a video game. Do points in a video game matter? You're playing a game. No. What value does that have? Nothing. So kavod has no value whatsoever. In fact, it has the opposite of value, because sometimes when a person gets all excited about kavod, honor, and recognition, it hurts them spiritually. That's why Rabbi Nachman says something shocking, and only now do we understand it. Rabbi Nachman from Breslov, so he taught about he said that at the very end of time, there are going to be all kinds of vices that are going to be diminishing people's lives. In olden days, they were struggling for money, and a person who was rich had a big test of ego. So Rabbi Nachman says at the end of days, having money is going to be a big test, and the relationships between men and women, that's always been a big test. That's also going to be a big test. But he said, what's going to be the biggest taiva, the biggest test at the end of time, Rabbi Nachman says? Power. Wanting power. Power for the sake of power. Like Hitler, Yamach Shema v'zichro, and everything connected to him, Yamach Shema v'zichro. In the end of the war, what did he want? He didn't care about winning the war. He just wanted to kill all the Jews. He wanted to have his plan take over, even though it lost him the war. So in our day, power is the most corrupting. And we see Hashem says, you stay humble. And again, humble does not mean powerless. It means realistic. It means the ayin, seeing God, einayim, anav, ayin, nun, vav. In the structure of the ayin is a nun and a vav. And then you can sing to Hashem. Then you can sing to Hashem. Because once you see that Hashem is in charge, you say, I give up, Hashem, I surrender myself to you. And that's a very, very good feeling. It's like, for those who were privileged to have a child, and if you ever took a course in how to get through the delivery, so a person will tell you that when you're having a contraction and you tighten up, then it makes it hurt worse. What does it mean to tighten up? It means to try to stay in control. Right? When you tighten, if you have a contraction, your stomach is contracting, and then your body contracts because you want to sort of like contract the contraction. You want to like be in control of the contraction, and that makes the pain harder. But if you let go of the control and you relax totally into the contraction, then it's number one, more effective. It makes the birth come quicker. And number two, it relaxes you to the point where you can be in control in your mind of the pain in your body. So that's what it means to surrender to Hashem. Somebody has to mute themselves.
Sharon, there we go. I've got it.
So now what does Hashem do? So now you see, I could tell you so many stories. There's a very famous story about some lady, forgot who it was, a famous speaker, an Israeli speaker. Somebody insulted her and she was giving a big shiur, and somebody insulted her in the middle of the audience. Somebody stood up and said, you're a liar, you're not good, and she right away remembered this teaching, and she right away started blessing people, because she said, now that she was insulted publicly, she has a koach of she's powerful. She has a big, powerful, she was just given like a powerful check from Hashem, like, deposited in her spiritual bank account is a huge, huge check. It's called being embarrassed in public. So she began to call out her students. You should have a zivug, and you should get married, and you should have an easy baby, and you should have shalom bayis. Like, she just started giving blessings to people because she knew the power of being insulted. Now, again, don't do it on purpose, but if it happens to you. In olden days, the Nevardikers, I think they were from Nevardik, they used to walk, were they from Nevardik? One of the Musar yeshivas in olden days, 100 years ago, they used to walk around schlumpy, dressed very sloppy, exactly for this reason, to be insulted so that they can erase their ego and they could have spiritual power. Now, what does Hashem do? Hashem makes clouds. Everybody here knows that clouds, we like the sunshine, right? We like sunshine. Today is a gorgeous sunny day. We like sunshine. We don't like a cloudy day. Okay, some people like a cloudy day for different reasons, but could you imagine if you live in clouds without sunshine? I think that's how it is in the UK. I don't know. I always thought that so much rain, but of course, I don't live there, so I don't know if that's true. The only time I was there was gorgeous weather. But I told the lady who brought me to the UK, I was teaching in London, and she said, we haven't had weather like this in years. I said, okay, bring me whenever you bring me, I'll come and bring you good weather. I was just joking. So what does God do? He covers the shamayim with avim. Avim are thick clouds that are rain clouds. They're the wispy, beautiful, fluffy clouds that you paint if you're doing a painting, right? You make like white fluffy clouds, or there are those thin clouds, what do they call, Sirius clouds, I think, and they're like wispy and they make you like feel very, creative. But then when you get a steel gray sky, the whole sky is gray, and you don't see any variation in the color, you don't see where's the sky, etc. So we don't like that, but we know already. When Hashem is making clouds and he's obstructing the sun, in those clouds is rain. Why did Hashem make the world like that? Hashem didn't have to do it like that, by the way. We're so used to living in this world with that situation that clouds brings rain that we don't think twice. But why did Hashem make that situation? Hashem could have made it that on a big, beautiful, bright, sunny day, all of a sudden, like gorgeous, I don't know, violet little shapes are in the sky, and they make the sky absolutely gorgeous, like on Lisa's picture here. Look at all those gorgeous colors on Lisa's pictures. And Hashem could have made the sky look just like that. Gorgeous, gorgeous. And then we would have looked up and enjoyed those colors. And then the rain would have come down, since rain is a blessing. So Hashem could have made that the sky looks like that gorgeous picture of those gorgeous colors. And then we get rain, a blessing via a beautiful experience. Hashem could have made the rainbows, right? Big giant ones, and that comes rain. Why did Hashem make sleet, gray, cloud, sky? All you see is, you don't see anything, just like gray and then all of a sudden rain. Hashem is teaching us major lessons, and that's like, again, so connected to current events. Things look, we don't see the sun, we don't see the Yad Hashem, we don't see the revealed, but Hashem is mechin, Hashem is preparing matar. Hashem is preparing matar, rain for the world, and then hamatzmiach harim chatzir, and then from that rain gets grain. All the mountains begin to sprout grass and food. That's how Hashem made the world, to show us, don't be upset when things go not your way. Really, it's all one big plan, and ultimately, everything's going to be fine. Along the way, we have cloudy days, we have cold, rainy days, but eventually, it's going to be okay. So that's how I'm going to do a quick meditation with you now. That's how I get through these confusing days. I do a meditation. It's written in a sefer that was a meditative sefer written by a big tzaddik. Years and years ago, and I don't know if any of you were in that Sunday class. I used to give Sunday mornings early, the healing class. So we did this meditation. So the meditation is, the thought is, if you think about yourself in the room that you're in, and then you do this with closed eyes, and I'm not going to do it with you. I'm going to let you, I'll just tell it to you, and then you can do it whenever you have a minute. So then you close your eyes, and then you lift your imagination above your head so that you could see yourself in your imagination. And then you pick up your imagination to imagine that you're going all up the levels, the ladder, like Yaakov Avinu's ladder. You're going all up the ladder of your soul, the nefesh, ruach, neshama, chaya, yechida, all the way to the yechida. The yechida, the section of our soul that's still in heaven, is called the yechida, and we're attached to it like an umbilical cord. That's how we're able to live. That's like the godly force that enables us. That yechida is attached to, so as if we could say these. I'm just giving it in words. So go all the way up to Shemaim in your mind, and sit there with all of your biggest doubts and worries, and see that all of the biggest doubts and worries don't exist up there. In that place, we learned this yesterday in the Parsha class, in the place where Hashem is, there's no judgment, there's no anything, there's nothing bad, it's all good. Only when that energy comes down to this world, sometimes it gets diverted into all kinds of negative things. But ultimately, everything is safe. Ultimately, our neshama is safe. Ultimately, everything is good. Our kids are safe. Our descendants are safe. Our ancestors are okay. Everything ultimately in the highest place of reality is fine. We just have to get through this obstacle course that planet Earth is. That's why Hashem made clouds. Hashem says in the clouds is life-giving rain, and the rain is your food. Hashem gives those animals, it gives food for the animals. And we eat the animals, and then Hashem gives the wild birds. And these animals, they don't do anything for their food. What are they doing? They're just walking around. And their food is there. Only humans, Hashem makes us work for our food. So you might think that that's a curse. It's not a curse at all. It's the way for humans to see the greatness of Hashem. If we would get our food supplied to us, if we would get our money supplied to us, like the animals, which means effortless, then we wouldn't think. We wouldn't pray. We wouldn't involve ourselves in anything in this world. Hashem could have done that. Hashem could have made us all not needing anything. Hashem made us need so that we can be in that relationship with him. But animals don't need anything. Now here you have again, Noten li v'hema lachma, 2 lamens. When David HaMelech in Tehillim is repeating letters, he's telling us, pay attention. Even though the 2 words work together, right? But in this paragraph, you have groups of letters that are repeated, lamens and mems. You have Rochel tevos, you have Sofei tevos. I didn't tell you this before, but in the pasuk before Enu Lashem B'Todah, you have all of the letters of God's name. The final letters are Hashem's name, Vav and Hey and Vav and another Vav. All God's names. Okay. Hashem gives the animals their food. And livnei orev. Now, what's an orev? An orev is a wild bird. And they call it a raven, I think, in English. But it's a wild bird. It's a bird that when there's a dead animal, those birds that circle and then eat the carcass of a dead animal, that's called an orev. These b'nei orev, 147 Nomi. These b'nei, we're in the middle of it. These b'nei orev, these the children of the raven, are calling out for food. And Hashem supplies them with food. He gives animals food. He gives birds food, and then we eat them. And we eat these animals. So this is a whole cycle of nature that we're supposed to be paying attention to. And David HaMelech has a point. He has a reason why he's saying all of these parts of nature, that all the parts of nature are serving Hashem. You know, I told you years and years ago, I just told the story, so I don't remember to which class. Years and years ago when we had the earthquake here in Yerushalayim, Kodesh. So it was about, I think it was like in the middle of the day. I could look it up, but I just never, because I was walking in the street. I was walking home from a class I was giving. And I noticed a weird thing. I noticed that there were about, Yerushalayim Kodesh is blessed with cats. Now a few less cats because of the new ways that we have the garbage disposal. But whatever it is, we used to have more cats, and they would be all over the place, eating up the garbage and keeping away the rats. Anyway, one day I was walking home, and I see under a car, there were about 20 cats huddled under a car. I never saw that before. And about maybe 20 minutes later, there was an earthquake. And those cats, they heard, they knew, they were feeling the rumble. Animals have a certain intuition about what Hashem is doing in the world. That's why they say that before the tsunami, all of those years ago in December 24th, 25th, remember in Indonesia, wherever that was, so they noticed that all the animals ran from wherever they were to like a mountain. They ran. There were no animals that died in that tsunami because they felt it. Now, what is a tsunami? A tsunami is an earthquake underneath the ground, underneath the ocean that makes a flood. Animals have perception. They don't have brains. They don't have rational object. They can't talk. They can't think. They can't process. We know that. But they have a certain understanding. Animals have a certain understanding that's inborn in them. So Hashem is saying, sometimes you have to look at the animals and you see how I do the animals. And on a certain level, Hashem gives us food just like he gives the animals. We just think that we're earning our keep. Hashem is giving the animals food. He's giving the B'nai Orev food. And then he says, Lo b'gevuras asus yachpas. Hashem doesn't want you to be running like a horse. running around like a Meshigana. Hashem doesn't care about the power, the power, horsepower. It's so interesting that this means horsepower. Gvura is power and sus is horse. Lo b'gvura sus yachpat. Hashem doesn't want. He doesn't care about how much you're running around. He's not yearning for you to go crazy and run around in circles trying to make money or trying to accomplish something in the physical world. Hashem doesn't want the thighs of a man. That means he's not looking at a person's physical prowess and physical and financial success. He's not interested in that. Why? Because he's the one who's giving us the food. He's the one who's giving us the job. You know, you see certain people, no matter what they touch turns to gold. Certain people, no matter what they touch, no matter how much gold they have, turns to mud. Everybody has a cheshbon. Hashem has a calculation for every single person. And Baruch Hashem, in the generation that we're in, we don't have Jews in the Western world, to my knowledge, dying of starvation. It used to be a very common thing here in Israel. 100 years ago, people were dying of starvation. In World War I, mamish 100 years ago, Yerushalmim, there was no food. They died. We don't have that anymore. So Hashem has a cheshbon for everybody. I remember the first time years and years ago, when I saw the soup factory, the soup kitchen. I know of 3 in the small proximity. I know the one in Meishar, the one by Shuk Machane Yehuda, and the one by Tachana Merkazit. All 3 of them look like restaurants. You might never even know. They look like a restaurant. They don't have a big sign in front, like whatever, Jerusalem 2 pizza. They don't have. There's a very modest, but it looks like a restaurant inside. Tables. In America, they have. I forgot what it's called in America. They have also such a thing in Brooklyn.
Maspia.
Maspia. Thank you. People come in, and they give what they can, and they're treated like to a regular meal. So I once was on the bus with a lady. She started telling me her whole life story. That happens to me a lot. I don't know why. People like to talk to me. And she just sat there next to me and she said, she's going to a wedding in Gutnik here in Harnof, in the area. And then she said, she eats every single day in the, by Shuk Machane Yehuda, where she got on. There's a beautiful place there. And that's where she eats her 3 meals a day. They know her there. They know what she likes. When she walks in, they give her the breakfast that she likes. We're very wealthy now. And but you know what? That's what we're living in. So Hashem doesn't need us to be running around like nuts, like Meshiganas, making money. Hashem he's not interested in that. Rochel Hashem et Yire'av. What does Hashem love? The word Rochel doesn't mean to want, it means to love. It's his will, his highest will. What does Hashem love? Guess what? He loves you and you and you and me. He loves those who are searching for him. Et Yire'av, those who fear him. What does the word Yire'av mean? It means you don't want to mess up your life. That's what it means, Yire'av. You're not afraid only of punishments. We don't like to, that gets a bad rap nowadays when you talk about being afraid of punishment. But what do we want? What's a Yirei Hashem? First of all, it's to see Hashem, like we said before, the ayin, the anav, to see God. I want to see God in my life. That's number one. And I want to see God in the world. That's really our biggest challenge now, is to try to figure out what in the world is Hashem telling us. We don't know. We have to wait and see. Hang in there. The story's not over yet. We have to wait and see how this all unrolls. But Yire'av means to try to see Hashem, and it also means to be afraid of being disconnected from Hashem. To be afraid of the disconnect. There's no such thing in the day that is disconnected from God. I was talking to somebody a little bit about the situation, the political situation, and the person said, And I said something about God, and the person said, don't bring God into this. So I said, sorry, I can't not. God is in everything. Like, what do you mean don't bring God into this? How could you talk about anything without bringing God into it? So what does Hashem love? Us. Yirei Av. We're afraid to do the wrong thing. We're afraid that we're not going to be seeing properly. We're afraid to disconnect from Hashem. And what else does Hashem love? Es hamiyachalim lechasto. Those of us who are mamish at the edge of our seat, the word liyachel, it means to wait. But it doesn't just mean to wait, like, you're waiting for the plumber to come and whatever. It means like a little kid knows that her father's coming home with a present for her, and she's running, she's like, her nose is stuck to the window because she's looking outside to see, like, is he coming? Is he home? Is he home yet? That little child is waiting so much. That's miyachel. So who does Hashem love? The ones who miyachalim lachasto, the ones who are waiting desperately, chalashing in Yiddish. Chalashing means like, in English they'll have a terrible word called, I'm dying for it. That's not a good expression. We don't want to say that expression. But hamiyachalim lachasto means we're waiting so much for Hashem to reveal his love to us. So look at the first word of that pasuk. Rochel means love, and chasto means love. These are code words in Tehillim. In regular modern Hebrew, Rochel means to want. I want something, and I want something. And when we say Yehi Ratzon, so it's translated in the Siddur as let it be your will, which means you should want. But in Chassidus we're taught that Ratzon is the highest desire, the deepest essential wanting of something. That's called Ratzon. And Chesed, we know, is the midah of Avraham Avinu, is the midah of the love that Avraham Avinu had. He served Hashem with love, Chesed. So Hashem wants, Hashem loves, not just he wants, he loves us. I try to feel this every single day. Then, of course, I say, well, Hashem, if you love me, then how come? Then I have my list of, But Hashem says back, there's some things that you don't understand. A lot of things we don't understand. So the midah of the week has to be, as we said yesterday in the Chumash class, everybody has to look at the last pasuk of the parsha. Moshe Rabbeinu comes to the Jewish people, and he says, I'm going to redeem you. Hashem says it's enough. Enough is enough. Chesed means love, because love is the midah of Avraham Avinu, to serve Hashem with love. So chasto means we're waiting for Hashem to show his love. That's what it means, Hashem. So in the parsha, right, Moshe Rabbeinu, yay, Moshe Rabbeinu finally comes. Everybody's yay, cheering, yay, Mashiach is here. And Moshe Rabbeinu runs, he says to the Jewish people, Pakod Pakati, Hashem says enough is enough, no more exile, no serving, slavery. I'm going to take you out, and we're ready to go. And Moshe Rabbeinu goes to Paro. Hashem says, listen, I want you to do it in this way. I want you to do it in a political way. Go to Paro, do it with his permission. There's a lot of reasons for that. So Moshe Rabbeinu goes to Paro, and what does Paro say? Make it worse. So Moshe, and he does, makes it worse. People complain, they can't do anything, they're getting beaten up. The slavery for those few days was even worse, harsher. Moshe Rabbeinu comes back to Hashem. He says, how come you did that? I did the right thing. You appointed me. I went. I didn't want to go. You forced me. I went. I did everything right. Why did it backfire? And Hashem says, the last pasuk, now you'll see how I'm going to take the Jewish people out. B'yad chazakah, with a strong hand. Now you're going to see. So that's what I'm looking at this world. And we don't know how far we have to go until Hashem says, okay, that's enough. Now you'll see how I'm going to fix everything. So Bezrat Hashem, hang in there. It's the parsha where The only parsha, this is the parsha Shmos, where we are, where the slavery of Mitzrayim is described. As soon as the parsha is over, that's it. We don't have any more slavery, because once the plagues began in next week's parsha, right? Va'era, the first plague, all the plagues. Once the plagues began, so there's no more slavery. And then we're just watching, we're sitting back and we're watching the show. So that's this week's parsha. We have like Thursday, Friday, Shabbos. We have a few more days in this section of the world. And we'll see. We have to watch and see. Hold on to the Tehillim. Be of the person like the child whose nose is pressed to the window, waiting for the Mashiach to come. That's when it says that when Mashiach, it says it in the Gemara says that when people would come to Shamayim, they would say, one of the questions they would ask is, Sipita Yeshua, did you wait for the Mashiach to come? Did you long for Mashiach to come? Did you stay by your nose with your nose pressed against the window for Mashiach to come? So that's what we're doing. I didn't see what you said much. 1 second, let me just read it. I can't open it. My thing doesn't work, Michelle.
I said, is the part where it says the Chulam Shmot Yikara, like, is that a hint to this parsha?
Okay, so Batsheva Tirza said something that I didn't even chap. And this happens to me all the time. This time I didn't chap it. I just picked this parak of Tehillim. It's not like I coordinated the parak of Tehillim that we're learning with the parshios. I didn't do that. But Batsheva says, look at that in the beginning when it says that Hashem calls Shemot, B'chulam Shemot Yikra. She wanted to know if that coordinates with the parsha. So it does, but listen to how. Not because of anything. Menachem from Breslov says this. He says, whenever you're ragil to Tehillim, did you know this, Hashem? Whenever you're ragil to Tehillim, whenever you say Tehillim a lot, you'll find current events in what you're learning. If you have, let's say you say the Yom, let's say you say every single day the Tehillim for that day, or let's say you have the same ones that you say every single day, or let's say what we're doing, you're learning. It always happens that something that's current comes into your Tehillim. You just have to keep your eyes open. So this time my eyes were not open, but yours were. Thank you.
Yours are always open.
Oh, you see, if it were open, I would have chapped it, but I didn't. Kol hakavod. Okay, so Hashem loves us. We have to wait with Hashem. We have to wait expectantly to see the good, and then let go. When things are not revealed good, when things are challenging, you have to just surrender into Hashem's arms and say, of course we have to do what we have to do. It's not like we sit around on the couch all day and sleep. We have to do what we have to do. We have to daven, we have to learn, we have to make Shabbos, we have to go visiting people who are not well, we have to make phone calls. I think you're all in bidud, right? You're all in quarantine, so you can't really go to many places. But here they're saying we're going to also be in a quarantine tonight. Whatever it is, we have a lot to do. But there's an internal control that a lot of us feel that we have to be in control in our minds. Like we have to understand what's going on. When the world becomes crazy, we have to let go of the need to understand and say, Hashem, I don't understand. And Baruch Hashem, we have Eretz Yisrael. Please, Chavra, come back to Eretz Yisrael. Please come. It's safe here. I know we have crazy governments, but that's going to be fixed soon. And we have crazy rules. Nobody knows what's going on. And see, the government here is priding itself on horsepower by saying we're doing the most vaccinations, all of that. That's not it. What it is, most Torah learning. Most Torah learning is here. Most holiness is here. Eretz is her family. She misses us. She's homesick for us. She doesn't want us to be scattered all over the world. She'll take care of us. Hashem will take care of you here. People, now you're not allowed. I know. Once they open the doors, Right.
We will.